I've been digital nomading for over 9 years now, and I've lived in over a dozen countries. Today, I want to talk about the top tools that I use, both apps and websites that I would recommend. First up, we have Air Visual. This one isn't necessarily travel related, but it is nice to know what the air quality is in my current location as well as the locations I might visit. For example, it's very applicable in Southeast Asia, and it's very nice to know when you should go outside or when you should stay inside your apartment or inside a mall because the air quality is not so great. The next app is AllTrails. AllTrails, as the name sort of suggests, has a lot of the local backpacking, hiking, mountain biking trails in the area. It doesn't work in every country, but where it does work, it's pretty nice because you can see reviews and recent photos of trail conditions, and you can go plan a day hike or something in the area with it. Next up is one of my favorites. It's called City Mapper. This is an app and a website that is only available, unfortunately, in a couple locations. It's probably maybe a couple dozen locations actually. But where it is available, it is just great. There's nothing that compares. It's a navigation app that allows you to get from one part of the city to another using pretty much every mode of transportation outside of flying. So we'll set up your route using public transit, bikes, e-bikes, Uber sometimes, and everything in between. It's really nice in places that just have a massive public transit network. Think big cities, think Seoul, South Korea, Singapore, Paris, London. It works really well in those cities. I mean, it will tell you what part of the metro's train that you should get in that's the least populated and which side of the train you should sit on to get closest to the exit at your next stop. It just knows all sorts of local little tips and tricks. Next up, we have Tor Browser. This one I have very rarely ever used, but I like just having it in my phone in case I'm in a country that has a firewall or some sort of system set up to block you from getting to certain sites. Of course, for legal reasons, I would never use this, but it does help you get around those firewalls in case you need to access some sort of application that wouldn't otherwise be available. It acts sort of like a VPN, but it's much more private. It's also more slow. It is free as well. There are pros and cons to it. If you're not sure what you're doing, just go watch some videos on it. It's pretty interesting how it works. Up next is a very popular one. This is Google Translate. Not only do I use Google Translate for just, how do I say thank you in a certain language, but I also use the camera feature for taking pictures of restaurants or ingredients on the back of food labels, or really anything, signs, to tell me what it actually says in the local language, but in my language. And that is probably where it's been most helpful, is just grocery shopping in another country and you don't recognize any of the brands, but you want to buy, I don't know, milk or something. And you want to look at the ingredients to see, is this actually milk or is this yogurt? Because I've made that mistake before. Up next, Telegram and WhatsApp, two different apps, but sort of just bunching them in here because they're obviously pretty popular. I'm only mentioning them just because a lot of Americans don't use either, but the rest of the world does, especially in Southeast Asia. WhatsApp is extremely popular, and you can use it for pretty much everything. I've booked doctor's appointments through it. I've contacted EMS through it. I've booked massages through it. I've booked scuba diving. Like, you can use it for everything. So it's very important to at least have it installed, have it set up and ready to go. The next app is called Yuca, or Yuka. It's not necessarily travel related, and it is a relatively new app that doesn't work everywhere, but I have found it working in places even like Malaysia. But the way the app works is essentially you use the app to take a picture of a barcode of, let's say, some sort of cosmetic product or sunscreen or even food, and it will tell you the ingredients, and it will sort of give like a 0 to 100 scale on how healthy this product is actually for you. I find it really good for finding sunscreens because I know that some sunscreens aren't really that good for you and others are fairly good. And so depending on where you can go, you can just scan with this app and it will just tell you this is a 95 to 100 score sunscreen. The next up is VPN. I personally use Proton VPN. I like it. The company's based in Switzerland. They also have email called Proton Mail. You've probably heard of it before. It's pretty popular. I really like their security and privacy focused mindset that they have, but honestly, most VPNs would probably work. The next app is Adobe PDF Scanner. This app allows you to take a picture of some sort of document or piece of paper or a book, and it will turn it into a PDF file. Yes, you can still do it with your camera and just take a photo and then convert the PNG or JPEG file to a PDF file. But not only does it spit it out as a PDF, it also looks like it's been scanned by, one of those big old scanners they have. So if you're trying to deal with sort of bureaucratic companies or governments that want something scanned and it can't be a picture, then this is a great app for just making it look scanned. The next website and app is called OMIO, O-M-I-O. It's where you can book trains, buses, ferries, I think are available in there as well. Most of their transit is available in Europe, but I have booked things in Southeast Asia before, and I'm not sure if it's available in North America or not. But where it is available, it's nice to keep all the tickets in one location. Next app and website is Wise. It used to be called TransferWise. If you're a digital nomad, you're probably familiar with it already. But this is a really, really good tool. One of my favorite tools, honestly, sort of I'm taking it for granted because I've been using it for so long, but it's a game changer. The way it works is you open an account and then you transfer money there. So let's say you open a US dollar account, transfer money from your bank account or from your debit card, etc., to that account. Then they send you a physical and virtual debit card to use. And with that card, you can withdraw US dollars, but you can also withdraw multiple different currencies. I don't know how many it supports. It's probably close to 50 at this point. The card makes the ATM or local bank think that is a local currency card. And so you won't actually have to pay any conversion fees and sometimes other fees to withdraw money. It's also really good for just having a quote unquote local bank account because it's kind of a virtual bank account, but it does act as a local bank account. For example, I've had many times where I wanted to receive euros or I wanted to receive Thai baht or whatever currency. And they're like, we have to send it to a Thai baht bank account, for example. And well, I didn't want to go to a Thai bank and open up an account and everything. Instead, I can just say, oh, well, let me just click this one button, open up the Wise bank account. Boom, you have a Wise bank account in Thai baht. And then you have a Wise bank account number for Thai baht that you can give to the locals, and it works the same way as any other local bank does for the most part. The next website is called Notarized. There are a couple competitors out there that I've used as well, but they all work relatively the same. Essentially what you do is you upload a document and then you turn on your webcam and you'll have a lawyer on the other side verifying your identity and then seeing you virtually or physically sign the document. And then you're able to just say you've had the document notarized. This has saved a ton of time because used to you'd have to go physically and meet someone who can notarize your documents for you. And it's completely legal. The next website and app is Rome to Rio. This is one of my favorites. It's not perfect. It doesn't cover everything, but for the most part, it covers like 99% of routes. So as the name suggests, if you wanted to go from, say, Rome, Italy to Rio de Janeiro, and you want to know what are my options on how to get there, you plug in the locations to this app and it will give you several options. That specific example I don't think is very good. I think it's much better when you're trying to get somewhere a bit more remote and you don't really know, do they have public transit? Am I going to have to take a ferry? What are my options? It works better for situations like that. The next is Google Flights. I'm sure you've all heard of that before, so I don't really need to talk about it too much, but I like it. It's simple. It works. You do have to be careful though, because they do track your IP address. And from what I've seen, the prices will go up if you keep checking the same flight over and over again. It's a good time to use a VPN for that. But Google Flights is still my go-to for finding flights. The next website is called Point Hound. Essentially, if you do use airline or travel miles, particularly credit cards, you can plug that account into the Point Hound website and then also plug in where you're flying to and from. And it will give you the options of flights, but it will give you how to pay for those flights using points. And sometimes, it's a matter of if I send my points from here to Marriott and then from Marriott to Qatar, then I'll actually get a huge deal on flights. It sounds weird, but it actually works. And I've saved a lot of money doing this. And sometimes you can find really good deals in there too, where you save hundreds of dollars on a flight that you otherwise would have just purchased outright. And now you can just pay for with points. Next is a website that is one of my favorite, probably like top 3 favorite tools that I use for travel. And it is seat61.com. The blog name, I think, is called themaninseat61.com. And essentially it's this guy's blog he's just a hobbyist, but he goes around the world, especially in Europe, and writes about train journeys on how to get to and from different locations. And he doesn't have literally every route, but he has a lot. It's amazing how many, I don't know, I would guess decades of work he's put into this website. And so you can read about, oh, I want to go from London, for example, to Vienna. That's a train trip that I've done. And I followed his website, and you actually go under the English Channel, and then you go to Paris, and then you switch trains in Paris, and then you go over to Switzerland, and then up through Austria. And his website lays out every step and like photos of what you can expect and where to book the tickets for the best prices. It's really great. Recommend it. Up next, this one's sort of obvious, but I have to recommend it because it's on my list. I do use it, and that is Airbnb. If you don't know what Airbnb is, I'm not sure what you're doing, but I have to mention it since it is an app that I use all the time. After that, we have Get Your Guide. This website and app, I think I've used a couple times, mainly for finding guided tours in certain locations. You've probably heard of it. It works fairly well. You are paying a little bit of a premium through booking through them versus booking with the agency directly, but they have pretty good customer service, and it's nice to just have everything work through one site. So I recommend them. After that, we have Airlo. There are a couple of competitors out there. I haven't tried them, but I've used Airlo for a couple of years. It's basically an eSIM provider. You've probably heard a lot of the YouTubers talking about them recently, but essentially allows you to download a SIM card, a virtual SIM card to your phone, and then use that in a particular country or region. And you don't have to worry about buying a physical local SIM card. And sometimes you can get better deals. I will say for the most part, you're paying more, sometimes by far, than you would be just to pay at the airport, and usually the airport SIM cards are already overpriced, but it is definitely easier to use. If you're on a really tight budget, I would say don't use it. However, if you just want ease of use, you might pay $2 more or something for a SIM card. Next is Onward Ticket. It's a website, and this one's fairly interesting. There are a number of competitors out there, but this is the one that I found that works the best. Essentially, airlines can be held responsible in some situations to fly you back. So they're going to want to see proof that you have a ticket that takes you out of the country back to yours or to another country. But let's say you don't know when you'll come back. You're not sure how long you're going to stay. Instead of buying a full ticket for hundreds or thousands of dollars, Onward Ticket allows you to essentially rent a ticket for a fraction of the cost. I think it's like 10 or 20 euros, something like that. And then after a 24 or 48 hour period, the ticket will expire. What happens in the background is basically Onward Ticket buys you a real airline ticket, puts your name on it. You actually get a seat and everything. And you can actually end up upgrading to that ticket if you decide to actually take that flight out. But if you don't, then it expires, and they essentially give that ticket to someone else, or the airline refunds it and they kind of keep the 10 or 20 euro difference. Next is Nomad List. I think they've upgraded their URL now. It's nomads.com, I believe. This is a pretty good site for getting a rough idea on what cities are like for a digital nomad around the world, but mainly you can use it for meetups and meeting other digital nomads. The next website is hoodmaps.com. Hoodmaps basically allows you to look at some cities around the world, not all, but a lot of the major cities are covered, sort of give an idea of the different parts of the city and what is there. For example, you'll see certain parts of the city are filled with tourists, other parts are filled with rich people or normies, or are maybe areas that are up and coming. Other areas are not safe and you shouldn't visit them. To get those sort of insights, Hoodmaps is a fairly good resource. It's not perfect, but it kind of gives you a rough idea. Then we have safetywing.com. This is where I have travel insurance. They also have health insurance there too. It's a very high quality health and emergency travel insurance provider. And then last but not least, we have maps.me. Maps.me allows you to download maps offline, and they're very, very detailed. Much more detailed than Google Maps, usually for most locations. It's kind of crazy. It can tell you where a bench is in a park, or where the closest water fountain or toilet is. The detail, especially in Europe, but also in Asia, is really, really, really good. It has trails that you would think that only locals knew about. Google Maps doesn't know about. All Trails doesn't know about. City Mapper, probably, that's not really its function, but it doesn't know about. But Maps.me will have a little trail, and so you can sort of plan your own route. So what do you guys think? Did I miss any websites? I'm sure there's some out there that you recommend that I didn't have in my list. Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to follow me. I'm on my 9th year of digital nomading while I buy and build businesses that fund my lifestyle.